Oha konbannichiwa minasan. Welcome to my third AJATT update. So, as you can see, I got very fed up with my boring background and decided if I don't like my background, I'm just gonna get rid of it. And now I'm in the void. So, yeah, now we're here. But anyways, I just recently finished my first novel, my first shousetsu, if you will. And it was really good. I actually recorded myself reading the last 10 pages and then kind of talking about my thoughts and theories on it, as well as actually reading a Japanese person's thoughts and theories on it and seeing if we kind of agreed. So that's going to take up a good chunk of the video, and I just want to preface that with the fact that you and I both are aware, at least if you've been subscribed to this channel or even just read maybe this title. This is a language learning channel. This is not Jared's book reviews. This is not a book club. Although reading is a big part of language learning and acquisition, but you know, I digress. So here's some timestamps. Here's some juicy timestamps as always, because I'm a yapper. I make long videos, and I'm uploading this on a Friday. So I want you guys to go out and have a great weekend, not sit here and just kind of seethe and boil at my very long-winded explanations, as I'm doing right now, actually. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking. Here's a spicy transition because I had a few extra minutes to edit. And yeah, here's the reading section. I'll see you after. Bye. Yeah, so I'm about 20 pages away from finishing my first shousetsu. Really exciting. It's been a really good read so far. So I thought what I would do here is read the last 20 pages on video, raw, unedited, and then just kind of show like my note-taking process, my reading process, as well as just to kind of have like a chill section of the video where we just kind of read, so you guys can read along with me. Last 10 pages of Mata onaji yumi o mite. So we have just one chapter left. It's literally just these few pages between the pinches of my fingers. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with chapter 11. また同じ夢を見ていた。目覚まし時の軽い電子音、車庫カーテンの間から漏れるわずかの光、サラサラのシーツ、ふかふかの枕、白い天井。目覚めてまず思いました。また同じ夢を見ていた。目を何度か瞬かせ瞬かせ It's one of those two. 腕だけを動かしてアラームを止める。遅れて腹の上に控えめな重さを感じて、私の寝返りを邪魔する居候を持ち上げて床に下ろします。彼女は仕立てをすれば家が火事になっても起きないかもしれないほどのお寝坊さんなので、多少乱暴にしても大丈夫。ベッドから降りて立ち上がり、カーテンを開けるとたっぷりの陽光 I think が部屋に差し込んできました。今日も快晴、いい天気。快晴 I'll have to look this one up. 顔を洗おうかな。そう思うのと同時にベッドの横に置いてある低いテーブルの上の携帯電話が増えました。誰からのメールかは分かっています。
メールを見て、私は背筋を伸ばします。今日は約束があるから、いつもより少しだけお食をして出かけなくちゃ。I don't know what this means. That is a new one for me. 洗面どころ洗面台に行って顔を洗い、寝癖を直すことにしましょう。私の長い髪は寝癖にあんまり強くなくて、朝は他の人よりちょっと長く洗面台に居座ることになります。加えて、今日はあの夢を見た日はついついじっと鏡に映る自分の顔に見入ってしまうのです。きちっと寝癖を直して多少のナルシストタイムを終え、私はキッチンにある冷蔵庫からオレンジジュースと昨日置いたファイナンシー私の大好きものを取り出します。ソファーに座って朝ごはんを食べていると、だいたいいつもこのタイミングで目を覚ますのが我が家の居候である彼女は私の足元でゆっくりと体を起こし、私の足を舐め始めます。お腹が空いているのでしょう。私は足を彼女に食べられちゃって使わないので、キッチンから彼女専用のお皿と牛乳を持ってきて彼女の朝ごはんを用意します。お皿は縁のところに彼女の名前が書かれたものをわざわざ探してきてあげました。彼女と並んで朝ごはんを食べながら彼女が何を考えているのかは知らないけれど、私は夢のことを考えていました。他ならないさっきまで見ていた夢のこと。私は子供の頃の夢をよく見ます。それも決まって見るのは小学生の時。他にも大切な思い出はたくさんあるのに、見るのはあの時の夢だけ。まるで聞かれているみたい。あなたちゃんと幸せになっているのって。朝食後のコーヒーなんて似合わない私はもう一杯オレンジジュースを飲みながら、テレビの電源をつけました。Is that text still clear? I assume so. 電源をつけました。何かやっているのかと、ザッピングだけど、やっているのは昔のアニメと悲しいニュースと誰かを全員でいじめる、まるで小学生が集まって作ったようなワイドショーだけ。とある番組で見るからに偉そうな大学生の先生が15年間10年間まるで変わらないことを言っていました。私はテレビを消して足元の彼女をそこに残したまま隣の仕事部屋に移動します。 2LDK のこの家に住んでもう3年、引っ越すとき探している家の一番の常用事件不動産屋さんに伝えると、世にも奇妙な顔をされました。その不動産 不動産屋さんがThere's no way I'm reading that right. 不動産屋さんが頑張って探してくれた。外から見るととっても美味しそうな美味しそうって、美しそう、美味しそうIt is 美味しそうなこの家を私は気に入っています。仕事部屋には余計なものは何一つありません。大きめの机と働く椅子、その上にノートと鉛筆、目覚まし時計と小さなパソコン、本棚に本たち、それから小さな居候がおとなしく寝ていられる毛布だけ。椅子に座って、まずは閉じられたノートを開いて、昨日の復習をします。それから鉛筆を持って、早速仕事に取り掛かるのです。私の仕事に出勤はありません。決められた時間も残業も遅刻も早退もありません。持ち物も必要なのはノートと鉛筆と私の頭とこの世界中にあるすべてのものだけ。夢中になると私はすぐに時間を忘れるので、机の上の目覚まし時計でアラームを仕掛けます。今日もやっぱり時間は光の弓 Is it yumi? I know that means something. We'll come back to that. のように過ぎ去って自分で仕掛けたアラームにびっくりするという約束を繰り広げた私はノートに小さな丸を打って席を立ちます。いつもならお昼ご飯もそっちのけでやり続ける仕事だけど今日はそうもいかない。大切な用事があるのです。二度寝をしている二度寝maybe ね。we'll say sheen。二度寝をしている。居候を横目に洗面所で長い髪の毛をセットしてわざとらしくない化粧を施し、いつもより少しだけメルヘンチックでザケ落ち we'll come back to that word。 スカートを履きます。そこにお気に入りのリュックを背負えば出かける準備は万端です。No. That's the cat meowing。 いつの間にか着ていた彼女が足元でoh my gosh 眉毛 I know this is just between the eyebrows にシワを寄せながらこちらを見ていました。せっかくのデートなのにリュックはやめろって。いいの人生ってリュックみたいなものなのだから背負うものがあった方が背筋も伸びるの。それにランドセルみたいで大好き。彼女には私の冗談は理解できなかったみたい。そんなことより彼女も早く外に出かけたい様子でうちのドアを爪でカリカリとし始めました。うちに居候をしてるI like how she's calling it 居候をしてる彼女は日中はいつも外にお出かけをしています。どこに行っているのかは知りません。もしかするとどこかの女の子と丘を登っているのかも。居候の彼女にOh my gosh I'm stuttering right now。生かされ 少し早いけれど、私は家を出ることにしました。リュックには読みかけの本もペンもノートも入っている。素敵な時間を過ごす準備はバタンです。ドアを開けると爽やかな風が私の顔を叩きました。髪とスカートが揺れてまるで動かずに踊っている気分になれます。もうすぐ夏。マーチ。私が鍵を閉めるのも待たずに行ってしまおうとする工場薄状 We'll come back to that. の薄状な居候の背中に呼びかけると、彼女は流し目でこちらを振り向きました。妙に色気のあるその目は半分の猫みたいな。I have to look that one up too. 生活の中、一体何を経験して得たものなのか。気になるだけど、聞いても彼女は教えてくれません。日が変わるまでには帰るからどこかで時間潰しててなあ。気にしないでいい。彼女はそう言い残して長い尻尾をゆらしく軽いステップで行ってしまいました。後ろ姿はちょっと違うけど、彼女の上作 We'll come back to that one too はいつかの悪情を思い出させます。さて、私も行こう。幸せは歩いてこないだから歩いていくんだ。私は口ずさみながら一つ伸びをして、あの時よりずっと高くなった目線で見る景色に今日の一歩を踏み出しました。幸せとは自分が嬉しく感じたり楽しく感じたり大切な人を大事にしたり自分のことを大事にしたり、そういった行動や言葉を自分の意向で選べることです。また同じ夢を見ていた。あの夢を見ると質問をまるで自分に聞かれているみたい。あなたは今幸せなのかって、その問いに答えるとき、私は今でも自分の中の幸せの定義が変わっていないことを確認してから胸を張ってうなずいて見せるのです。子供の頃、人生とはなんて大人ぶったことを言っていた賢い女の子は周りを思いやることもできず、味方も友達もいませんでした。
So I'm just checking to make sure I'm recording. It would low-key suck if I... Okay.
Yeah. だけれど、女の子には運がいいことに導いてくれる人たちがいて、彼女たちのおかげで、その女の子は幸せなまま大人になることができました。導いてくれた人たちのことを私は今でもしっかりと覚えています。アバズレさん、ミナミさん、おばあちゃん。私はだんだんと知っていきました。アバズレという言葉の意味も彼女がやっていたのだろう。仕事のことも南さんが本当は南さんじゃなかったということも、授業参加の日に一つの飛行機事故があったこともおばあちゃんが言っていた。私の先に見る 見る力があるということの意味もう知っています。彼女たちは私を助けに来てくれたのでしょう。そして女の子だった私も彼女たちを助けてあげることができたのでしょう。そのために出会ったのでしょう。大人になって私は不思議の理由を知ってしまいました。でもそれを楽しいとは思っていません。だって私は今でも彼女たちのことが大好きだから自分で選んでいるのです。南さんのようになりたくて仕事に使っているのは今でも普通のノートだし、アバジェさんのようになりたくて同じ色の建物に住んでいるし、おばあちゃんのようになりたくて少しずつお菓子を作り方を勉強しています。まだ魔法は使えないけれど、あれから結局私は二度と彼女たちと会うことができませんでした。私が彼女たちのような素敵な大人になれているのかはわからないけれど、最近の私の顔は南さんにそっくりだった顔からだんだんアバズレさんの髪に似てきています。何十年後かにはきっとおばあちゃんに似てくるのでしょう。だけれど私の人生は誰のものとも違います。誰のものとも違う自分の幸せを選ぶことができるのです。幸せはあっちからやってくるものではなく、こっちから選んで手にするものだから。また同じ夢を見ていた。あの夢を見るといつも思う。自分に聞かれているみたい。あなたは今幸せなのかって。その問いに答えるとき、私は自分の幸せの定義と一緒にいつも最後におばあちゃんが私にくれた言葉を思い出すのです。いいかい、人生とは。So I'm making sure my mic's still recording. すべて希望に輝く今のあなたのものよ。大きなアトリエの中、私は彼の邪魔にならないように隣の椅子を置いて腰掛けます。サイン書くだけだよ。広い空間があるのにわざわざ並んで座った私に彼は笑いながら言いました。だから私も同じように笑って答えてあげました。また同じ夢見てたの？私は彼に夢の説明をしませんでした。だけど彼はそれ以上私がそこにいることを疑問に思ったりもしませんでした。彼はペンを持ってキャンバスの右サッカー No, that's you か We'll just say 右下に自分のサインを描きました。中学生の頃から彼が使っているサイン、外国人から怖がれるかもしれないとあなたを殺すと聞こえる自分の名前の意味を反対にしたサイン。この絵失点するんだっけ？いや。The last page。彼は地面に咲いた花畑の絵を見ていました。これは君にあげる。私にはそれが彼のプロポーズだということが分かりました。恋人になったばかりなのにプロポーズとは早すぎるんじゃないなんて思ったけれど、でもきっとこの絵にはこれまでの思いを全部詰めてくれているのだと分かりました。 だけどやっぱり大事なことはちゃんと言葉にしてほしい。私は言いました。育児なし。彼は笑ってきちんとそれを言葉にしてくれました。それから私が彼のプロポーズにどう答えたのか。今でもまだ隣の席に座る彼と私がこの後どうなったのかはバラの下です。Oh, that's it.
Dang, I was so gassed. That was so good, dude. Alright. You, my friend, have permission to sit on top of the book, for we have finished reading. Wow. What a read. Solid book. So, spoiler alert, I really want to talk about this book, and also, there may be some people out there thinking, you're just reading the sounds, you actually don't know what the book's saying. And to that I say, yeah, I mean, kinda. I'm just kidding. But with how much of a friendly book this is in terms of getting into reading, the story was like very, very complex and very moving. And so instead of kind of summarizing the entire book right now, I'm just going to kind of give my take on the last 10 pages as if you guys know what happened in the rest of the book. So if you don't, then this will make no sense, and also you should go read it. And if you plan to read it, just skip to this time frame. Skip right up here. Yeah, go over there, because I'm about to spoil the hell out of this book. So yeah. Okay, so according to the last chapter, from what I can discern, the entire first 10 chapters of the book was the main character's dreams and reality just kind of mixed together. And some of the characters or people she talked to didn't even exist, or they did in some shape or form, but they kind of started disappearing out of nowhere because it was kind of meshing between reality and her dreams. And she searched to find the answer for what is happiness, for her. So yeah, that's kind of where I've kind of interpreted that we get left off in chapter 11 that I just read. So that's the whole thing I just read, is that chapter 11. And then we see that she actually wakes up and there's a cat on her chest. This one actually has a long tail though. So if you start reading the book, you'll notice that there's a cat following her around everywhere that has like an injured tail, or it's just like kind of cut off at short. This one, when she wakes up, as an adult, by the way, this is like a time skip, has a longer tail, but has like the same eyes and the same personality. And yeah, so I'm assuming that she kind of like some of these elements from her current life snuck into her dream, basically, because that's how dreams work. And so this whole book is just kind of like a mesh of her younger self with some anecdotes from like her future self and her future life, and all of these characters that are like mature, kind of telling her, giving her guidance, is actually herself talking back and forth between her younger self through her dreams, kind of. I don't know, some weird Matrix stuff, right? Not Matrix, Inception. Yeah, and then she has a date to go out to, and she goes and sits down next to this guy which lo and behold, she was sitting next to a guy in class when she was a kid, and this guy is drawing something out. This adult, which lo and behold, again, the kid next to her in school also draws, and they were getting all lovey-lovey, or labu-labu. But yeah, she has a date with this dude, goes out, sits next to him, and then he draws up a beautiful flower field, which actually, like a beautiful painting of like flowers, like a field of flowers. This appeared in the grandmother's house in part of the book, and it was painted by, I don't know why I'm getting so specific, but one of the grandmother's friends. And in the book, the main character says, oh, I hope that my friend who I sit next to in school can paint something like this someday, right? And so, anyways, back to the future, or I guess the present. So he paints this for her, and it encapsulates all of her memories perfectly from her dream. 今でもまだ隣の席に座る彼と私がこの後どうなったのかはバラの下です。So バラis a rose, actually. And I'm looking. It's interesting kanji. I don't know why I thought it meant bouquet, but yeah. It might be a saying in Japanese. I'm just not catching on to quite right. I'll have to look into it. All right. So after doing a little bit more research on the phrase "bara no shita de," bara no shita de, so I realized. According to Google, at least, I don't know what I'm saying I realized, it's Google, it's written right there in front of me. It means to keep something secretive. All the answers were in Japanese, so I will just say that it mainly said like, naisho ni suru toka, himitsu ni suru. But like the way I was like, kind of feeling is, it's more like, oh, well, so as to my answer to the guy who proposed to me, that's a secret, tee-hee. Like, it's more like, it's not just keeping it a secret, it's more like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you, haha, but you already know, kind of. That's what I kind of got from reading into it. In case anyone's curious, and you don't want to read the book, but, yeah. So yeah, I think it was just a happy ever after about finding happiness in life, essentially, and she found that in him, and also, prioritizing yourself, prioritizing others, and then doing things that you like, as she was saying in the last chapter. And obviously Kiryu, the painter, in the last chapter. So yeah, honestly, really good book. Pretty emotional for like the kind of depth it has. I was really surprised. Yeah, and I picked up a lot of new words, and so I'm just gonna put some words on screen that I don't know, and while I'm talking about this, here's some footage of me kind of writing down those words, breaking them apart. Yeah, but now that is done, I can officially say that I've read a full novel in Japanese, and now it's time to move on to the fun stuff. Okay, we've read the book, we've saved some new vocab, and I just gave you my theory on what I think the book is about, or kind of how the ending ties in with the rest. So I thought, let's do a little bit more reading and read someone's explanation, or I guess their interpretation of the book in Japanese, of course. And after that, we'll get back to the rest of the video. Please, again, if this bores you, here's a timestamp to skip to, or you can go click off and watch other videos, whatever you want to do. And you spend your weekend however you'd like. Okay, let's do it. また同じ夢を見ていた。解説へ解釈。ネタバレが含みます。未読の方はご注意ください。先日、住の夜さんのまた同じ夢を見ていたという作品の感想ノートを投稿しました。So, cool. We're not going to read that, just for the sake of time. この作品は Yeah, that was sad. That was gross. Yeah, don't scroll back and watch that again. That was weird. この作品は私にとって本当に大切な作品です。作品で大切な一人に送った一冊でもあります。小説というものはもちろん読み手それぞれにいろいろな解釈があるべきで、 感想もそれぞれだと思いますが、読んだけどちょっと難しかった。結局どういうことだったの？他の人ってどんな解釈をしたんだろうなんて人がわからないままそのままにしてしまうのはもったいないと思うんです。この本は特に優しい気持ち、嬉しい。嬉しい、right? Okay. Anyways, 優しい気持ちを感じて閉じてほしいなど、閉じてほしいなと思う作品だったので、幼なりの簡単な解説と個人的な解釈を書いてみようと決めました。何かの参考になると嬉しいです。There's 嬉しい。That's 優しい。That's 嬉しい。Let's keep reading. あらすじ。賢さが全てだと思っている人生とはが口癖の小学生の小柳なのか。彼女の友達である南さん、アバズレさん、おばあちゃん、そして尻尾のちぎれた彼女、やり直したいことを抱いた彼女らと共に今を生きる7日がさまざまな壁をぶつかりながらも一歩一歩成長していく物語。登場人物の謎。この物語は最大のポイントは南さん、アバゼさん、おばあちゃん、そして主人公の小柳7日がすべて同一人物であるという点です。So, I was right. Alright, and if I need to clarify, this is just saying that the grandma, Minami-san, and Abaze-san were all the same character. They were all the main character, the girl. So, I'm just saying. Anyways, 南さんは仲直りできないまま両親を事故で亡くなってしまった7日。アバーゼさんは誰とも関わることなく一人で生きていくことになった7日。おばあちゃんはキリュウ君の本当の意味での味方になれず友達関係のまま過ごしてしまった7日だということです。この解釈自体人それぞれだと思いますが、今回はこう判定して進めていきますのでご了承ください。それぞれに人生のターニングポイントになる後悔を背負った将来の7日が同じ過ちを繰り返さぬよう彼女に会いに来たのです。それでは彼女たちの過ちや伝えたいことなどを細かく見ていきましょう。I mean, we can look at this, but I mean, I already know. So we're going to kind of skim through these. This is just showing what each of the characters or each version of herself wanted to tell the main character so that she wouldn't make the same mistakes and end up like them. So just to recap though, Minami is like, hey yo, better apologize to your parents because you don't know if they'll be here tomorrow, you know? And lo and behold, a plane crashes on the day of her presentation that she got into a fight with her parents about the night before. And they actually ended up coming to see her. So they survived because she made up with them or something. Anyways, next character. So she basically cut ties with all of her friends and lived life in solitude because she thought she was so smart. And then ended up being very lonely and going into a sketchy job where she sells the seasons, Haru o Uru, which I don't know if YouTube's gonna let me say the English version. Maybe I should even say it in Japanese, but I'll think of some text to put above me that kind of like is acceptable. Yeah, so that was her job. Yeah, you can see her shigoto. Yeah, 季節を売る仕事をしているんだと言ったそうです。それ以上は書かれていませんが、季節は春に等しいで、春を売る仕事ですから、憶測ではありますが、おそらくそういうことなのでしょう。So, yeah. And then her kokai, you know, not having relations with people, basically. おばあちゃん。So, basically, yeah, the grandma basically stayed as friends with the kid that sat next to her. And so when she became an older lady, she was alone. And also we can see on the painting, it was signed saying "Live Me." Yeah, the grandma says that the friend who painted this actually has a family and moved abroad. And yeah, so it's just basically talking about kind of regretting that and not being his partner in a way. I mean, it's a cat, just saying. It's asking what this character is. Okay. Yeah. An 案内猫。I mean, yeah. 導く案内猫だったのではないと考えられます。Yeah. So basically, the cat in the book is just someone who's guiding the main character, Nanoka, to each of these versions of herself. Yeah, why is the cat's tail like injured and short? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Basically, the length of the tail is probably because when she was a kid, the cat's tail is short and kind of, it's just short. And as she's an adult, when she wakes up in the last chapter, the cat has its full tail, showing that she is seichoed or developed to full length, I guess, in a way. At least that's the speculation here. 気になる表現。Ah, interesting. Okay, so I this went over my head, but in the book, the grandma's talking to the main character, and she says that you have the power to see in the future. That is like right in your face. Yeah. Okay. So she's saying that she has the power to see in the future, and that's why she was able to meet and see all of these characters. So I don't know if it's a book about having a crash out or just like whatever, but yeah, it's interesting. Stop. 外から見るととっても美味しそうなこの淡路山に住んでいた主要な見た目落ちているのではないでしょうか。家を探すとき大条件としたクリーム色の美しそうな建物と伝えれば微妙なやっとします。Yeah, one of the characters, or I guess versions that the main character talked to of herself, lived in a very specific colored house. In the last chapter, she talks about how it's an interesting search process with the real estate agent because her requirements were, I want a delicious looking house that's cream colored. 不思議の理由を知ってしまいました。全て選択が間違った。知ってしまう。Okay, yeah. This is just talking about when she was like, for the whole book, she was like saying, "Oh, fushigi, fushigi, fushigi. This is so weird. Why is the adult crying right now? We're happy. Why is she crying? This and that." And now she came to understand all of those fushigi na ryu. And yeah. Basically, she just basically grew up and like understood all these previously unknown things because she thought she was so smart and knew everything. 外国人から怖がれるものがあるかもしれないと、あなたを殺すと聞こえる自分の名前の意味を反対にしたサイン。これは劇の時でサイン Live Me キリュウという名前。殺すの反対の意味である Live 生かす You あなた。 That's crazy. 施されていたため、キリュウ君が書いたものだったということになります。Wow, I actually did not think about that. Okay, that went over my head. Okay, yeah, because Kiryu's name does sound like kill you. So あなたを殺すと聞ける自分の名前の意味を反対にしたサイン。I don't know why I didn't realize that until reading this right now. So that's why I guess it was a joke then. Live me. I thought it was like a typo and he was trying to say love me, which is why she takes it as a proposal at the end of the book. Okay, so it's just a joke because his name sounds like あなたを殺す kill you. And then he says live me. That's cool. 今でもまだ隣の席に座る彼と私がこの後どうなったかはバラの下で Yeah, so we did our research as you saw previously, and this is the right interpretation then. So バラの下での意味は秘密という意味です。Okay, yeah. これは7日が南さんから教えてもらったお話の中で一番素敵だなと思ったことだそうです。英語でバラの下でという秘密という。I forgot about that. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be a long video, but Minami was writing her own book and showed it to the main character, and she read it and then forgot all of it like the next day basically. But in it, she mentioned bara no shita de, and then she forgot everything like in there. But she brings that phrase back up at the end, showing that a part of her remembered at least that portion of the book. It was always in her memories, which is kind of cool. 幼なりの解釈 Dang, bro's a yapper. I guess I gotta read all this, huh? このお話に登場してくる南さん、アバゼさん、おばあちゃんはそれぞれの7日が抱いるはずだった後悔を表しているんだと思いました。だから7日が正しい選択をするたびに、本来生まれるはずだった後悔が一人ずつ存在ごと消えていくのだと。OK。南さんとの約束通りただいまと遠い家に帰ってお母さんに謝ることができた7日は住居参観に利用者が来るという幸せに手に入れ、南さんという後悔が存在しなくなったのだと思いました。もし彼女が謝ることができなければ、両親は仕事を切り上げるはずもなく、事故に遭うはずの飛行機に乗ったことでしょう。アバゼさんも同じ。彼女があの時人と関わることを諦めてしまったら、彼女はWhoa. Hello. 自分の身体を粗末にし、Oh my gosh. 粗末にし、表札にアバゼと書かれてしまっていたことでしょう。しかし彼女は一人で生きるのをやめました。その結果、アバゼさんという後悔が存在しなくなりました。そしておばあちゃんもあの時、キリュウ君にとって本当の意味で飲み方になった7日は責めるわけでも何か言葉をかけるわけでもなく、彼の手を握りました。だから離れ離れになってしまったおばあちゃんという後悔が存在しなくなったのです。バラの下でという素敵な言葉をその意味のまま受け取りたい気持ちと、どこかで2人で一緒に幸せになってほしいなと願う気持ちがどちらもあります。けれど私が願うようなことではないのだと思います。7日が手を握ってあげたキリュウ君は同じように7日の手を握ってあげるのです。きっとこれからも2人はそうしていくのだと勝手にだけれど思っています。小さな頃に来てくれた人たちは7日を助けて そして同じように助けられて、それぞれ幸せを選んでいたのだと思います。このお話の中では消えてしまう彼女たちもきっとどこかで温かな夢を見てこう聞かれるのです。あなたは幸せなのかって。きっと彼女たちは今の幸せを見つめ直すのでしょう。そして偶然にもこの本を通してその場に立ち会えた私たちも同じように問われるのです。このお話を読んで得られるものはきっと一言で言い表すことにできないでしょう。それでも私たちは考えるのです。人生とは幸せとは物語の中の彼女たちと同じように温かな夢を見ながら、そして目を覚ます時に決まっているのです。また同じ夢を見ていたと。Yeah, freaking solid. Welcome to the non-bookworm part of the video. So, yeah, TLDR, I read the book, I made a guess, and that guess lined up with what some Japanese people who read the book thought too, so I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, I think now what we'll kind of do is just kind of go over my stats for the month, I guess. I mean, this is an update video. I don't have much physically to show you other than, I guess, maybe my Anki, which, you know, it's another thing we can do. Yeah, the cool thing about having a black green screen, a black screen, is I can use it as a green screen, even though it's not green. Who would have thought? Yeah, let me get Anki open up here, and we'll kind of just go over last month's reviews, because it's been pretty much exactly a month, actually, since my last video. No promises that I'll keep it that way. It's, you know, I'm a bit of a hectic fellow. Okay. So, I don't know if I can do... Here, let me do this. Alright. So we'll just do ikagetsu for most of these here. Whatever I can do, I suppose. Yeah, so I haven't really been adding new cards. Reason being that I've been using JPDB and focusing more on immersing, which kind of ties into a video I watched recently that I found pretty interesting.
Vocabulary is acquired incidentally and incrementally, the two I's, okay? We acquire vocabulary incidentally. By that I mean we acquire vocabulary when we're not worried about acquiring vocabulary. We acquire vocabulary as we're reading and understanding messages. The second big point about vocabulary acquisition, and this is one that people really have to understand, the one that people I think get the most in trouble with, is vocabulary is acquired incrementally. That means you pick up a little bit of the meaning typically each time you see it. There were a series of studies done in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that continue to be done, but the most important ones were done by a guy by the name of Bill Nagy, who was at the University of Illinois at the time in the 1980s. And what Nagy discovered is that every time you see a word that you've never seen before, usually you pick up a sense of what that word is. Maybe it's just whether it's a noun or a verb. Maybe it's a good thing or a bad thing based on the other context in the story or what you're reading or what you're listening to. But each time you see that new word in a different context, you're going to pick up 10, 15% more, 10, 15% more. That all adds up. So that every time you see those words, you're picking up that incremental knowledge until such a point where all of a sudden you know the word unconsciously and you don't know how you learned it. I should say acquired it. The good thing is the words that you really need to know, by definition, you'll see them more often.
But yeah, so first of all, this is Dr. Jeff McQuillan. So he's a linguist, really smart guy, makes some great points. And then shout out to Matt Brooks Green. He makes a lot of linguist or like language learning videos. But yeah, so I thought that point was really interesting, is how you pick up words incidentally and incrementally. That really stuck with me. So like basically I've had this phenomenon too, and you probably have had it as well, where you're sitting reading, doing whatever, and you hear a word in your language that you're studying and you're like, wait, that sounds familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So he's kind of talking about that, where you hear that word, but in different environments, and slowly but surely, you come to just know the word. You just know. You may not know the English definition, but when you hear it in your target language, you can visualize it, like it's there in your subconscious mind. But yeah, so I realized that if you, are acquiring this vocabulary when you're not worried about acquiring it, as he said, well, that's the very definition of doing vocabulary flashcards, my friend. When I sit there and open Anki and I'm like, okay, I've got my grammar deck, I've got my kanji deck, I got my vocab deck. Okay, so when I do my kanji grammar and I go to vocab, then my brain is saying, okay, it's time to worry about vocab. It's time to acquire this vocab. And then I don't, because it's in a specific environment. It's in Anki. It's this sentence where this word is used very specifically. It's used this way. And so it's not a very healthy way, because also if I save a very rare word or not so rare word, I'm going to see both of them just as often as the other in Anki. Right? So it doesn't really give me a good feeling of whether a word is important to learn or not. And so one thing he kind of says, and that I've heard around, is that reading itself is an SRS. You will get a feel for which words are more common and more useful to know versus which aren't. So I think that's something to keep in mind, and why I've kind of slowly but surely started to kind of ease off on the gas when it comes to SRS and flashcards, and more kind of kick it into next gear, right? Into reading and watching and listening and doing this and that in Japanese, right? Because when I do that, then I really get to experience Japanese. I don't get to experience the Japanese I copied and pasted 7 months ago into my Anki. I get to experience a blog, a review of a book that I just read, or really anything. So that's kind of what got me thinking, and that's sort of my little linguist talk. I studied IT in college. I'm in no way qualified to talk about this, but I just think he makes some really interesting points. So once again, shout out to Dr. Jeff McQuillan and Matt Brooks Green. I highly recommend his channel. He does a lot of interviews and makes pretty good videos. If you're curious on the acquisition and psychological side of language learning, definitely a good channel to check out. But yeah, back to the video. Yeah, so I was doing exactly what he was saying not to do, and I was even telling myself, oh, I've got to stop doing flashcards. I just got to get out there and use the language and interact with it. So that's what I've been trying to do. Yeah, I have stuff in JPDB, but I've kind of pivoted away from using too much of even that or Anki. And as you saw, I finished my book. I've been reading that more. I've been watching more anime, TV shows. I've been reading more manga, and actually interacting with I'll just call it Japanese in the wild, and not just these pre-hand-picked bunches of random sentences that I don't have any emotional or mental connection to, because it's my first time seeing them. Sentences there's a half-drinking can of apple juice on the desk. Yeah, I mean, I'll understand the words in that, but it's it wouldn't be as helpful as if maybe I read a manga and someone's half-drinking can got thrown at someone, and I remember those characters' names, and I remember the imagery, and I'm able to associate more of those words with that sort of nuance, right? I get context when I'm actually out there interacting with the language. So yeah, anyways, enough yapping, enough excuses. Just really quick, we'll go through here. I did just south of 1,000 cards this month with an average of 33 a day, and I have 29 cards scheduled for tomorrow, it looks like. You can see average-wise, yeah, it's been in that 30 to 40s, and then my gaksu. So I've been getting very little cards wrong. It's been a lot of mature cards, so this really, when I say I haven't been adding anything new here, it really is true, as you can see. It's just kind of maintaining those super well-known cards for me, and making sure that in the back of my mind those are solid and that they're not going to slip through and I'm going to forget them while I'm immersing. Nothing's really changed here. As I explained in my previous video, a lot of these are on hold because they are either in English, or 800 or so of them are for RTK3, which I'm actually unsuspending them as I encounter those cards in the wild, or those kanji, sorry. So yeah, you'll kind of probably, through my updates, slowly see this suspended card number go down, hopefully. Yeah, and I think this is just my ease or something. I don't know Japanese. I kind of do. Oh, no, this is the ease. This is the ease. The Yoshisa or whatever. Yeah, and then, so you can see, if you don't remember, or if you haven't seen the last few videos, I work full time now. So you can see that big peak during my lunch break. I just study a ton. And then some days I get a little lazy, I forget. Or, yeah. I hope my manager's not watching this. These are... If my manager's watching this, I only do this when I go to the bathroom, and I stop as soon as I'm done with the bathroom, okay? I don't finish the cards, then finish going to the bathroom. I finish going to the bathroom, and that's when I stop my cards, okay? So, boss, if you're watching this, I do not go into the bathroom stall for an hour and do Anki. I promise. I'm a good employee. Whew, okay. Anyways. Yeah, and then the different buttons I pressed, if you're curious, I guess. So, yeah, for new-ish cards, look, I just said the same thing. I just Control-V'd like 3 times in real life, but it's like newish stuff. I really didn't press it this much. It was a lot of those mature cards, so 1,056 times I got it right. And then 5 times I was like, gotta review that one. But yeah, and then as for my reading comprehension and my listening comprehension, I've been listening to podcasts. I will put some on the screen right here that I recommend, as well as attach a document in the description that I found. Shout out to this person. I blank out the name, but I'll type it here. Really good list of materials. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, if you're curious about my reading comprehension, just skim 30 seconds. Just watch 30 seconds of the part you just skipped if you did, and you'll get a good idea. But yeah, I've been reading pretty much throughout all of my lunch breaks this month with a little bit of Anki, plus another 30-ish minutes at night, whether it's manga or books. And then I've been watching about 2 hours of anime every night just because I'm making dinner. I got a TV in the living room. On average, so I don't have the exact numbers for you, but I would say on average, maybe 35-ish hours of reading this month, and then I would say another maybe 65, mid-60s in terms of anime listening comprehension, and that is without Japanese subs. So that is just purely listening. And then recently podcasts, so that's been, I listened at work today actually, I started doing that, so that's another 6 hours per day, but that was really only starting this week. So really not too much. I'm hoping to ramp it up. It's been really fun. And yeah, I guess I'm going to start Hennaie 1 and go from there. It's definitely a step up in difficulty, so I'm excited to see how I fare against that. And yeah, that's enough about me. Now, when it comes to you guys, I have a few questions. So one is, what are your study methods? Are you AJATting? Are you going through textbooks? Are you prepping specifically for an exam? And also, why did you start learning Japanese? I'm kind of curious because everyone has a different answer, whether it's to watch anime without subtitles, or maybe you're half Japanese, or maybe you did an exchange program in high school and you want to reconnect. Any reason like that. Would love to hear you guys' stories. And as always, feel free to subscribe, leave a like for the algorithm so more people can join our AJATT community. And yeah, looking forward to making another video. And if you have any suggestions or anything you want me to talk about, well, just leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to like and reply to everyone's comments. So yeah, anyways, have a great weekend and thank you for watching. Or as they say in Japanese, 視聴様、よく見てくれてありがとうございます。では、またね。That was so cringe.
Damn, I took like a year just to get the verse in. Richie with a T-Rock, spark a certain. And my shit gon' have them Maybach curtains. Red leather